He literally broke up with the future mother of his child because his mom said so. What's the worst case of helicopter parenting you've seen? This one kid I knew from elementary high school. The mom didn't have a job and somehow managed to be at his school every single day, watching over him. In elementary she was a volunteer teacher's aide every year, which meant she would help out in whatever class he was in. By middle school, she was the head of the PTA, and although not necessary, she was at the campus almost every day. She would just wander around, and eventually, the school stopped caring and she could do whatever she wants. She would randomly pop into one of his classes and just observe or come up to him to hang out with him at lunch. The kid was 24/7 stressed the hell out, his whole body always clenched up. His mom put immense pressure on him to do well in school, both academically and behavior-wise. He had an extremely hard time making friends, and eventually he was bullied to the point of randomly getting beat up. Made it to the first year of high school before he had to transfer to another school. It's her fault. All she wanted was for him to be smart and polite to teachers, and he never got to learn how to just be a guy and make friends. As an RA, I was checking students into their dorm rooms. One mother came with her son, who looked to be about 25, and she would not let him get a single word in. She went on about it being his first year in college and that she was finally approving of him moving away from home, and actually going to college, a big yikes we kept an eye on later. When he was assigned to a traditional room with a roommate, she flipped her poop, saying how she wanted him in an apartment so she could stay with him whenever she wanted. Can't do that anyway, and she would withdraw him from school if she didn't get her way. Thankfully, I was already dead inside from dealing with other residents, so I checked her son in, and immediately gave him the number of my boss in case his mother gave any more problems while he was moving in. I later heard from another RA that she tried to prevent the roommate from entering their shared room, even though her son was desperately trying to get her to leave. The RA and student security had to escort her out of the building where she sat until her son was done moving in. The son was actually a really cool dude, once his mother was out of his hair, and a really involved student, happy to be on his own and living the college life, even if he was a bit older. His mom still managed to call our duty phones asking about him, but because of federal laws we just hung up. My son told me about this 5th grade overnight trip to nature center. Kid's mom went, was only parent, that wasn't a teacher, to go, had a complete meltdown when she was told that her kid would be sleeping in a cabin with other kids and not her. She was told this before the trip as well. 4 teachers per cabin, basically overnight school. He said she basically spent the entire night outside watching the cabin, really creeped everyone out. Man, the rants she went on Facebook. At least her friends and family called her out on her nonsense. Imagine quite a few people got blocked that day. My son's befriended the new kid in middle school. Homeschooled through elementary school years, but parents wanted him to interact with kids. He's a good kid. Smart, but guarded and sheepish, but he got along great with my sons. They want to have a sleepover. He gets dropped off and his mother hands me a list. Had to be 4 pages of his routine, do's and don'ts and everything. Adam is not to have anything to drink after the hour of 8 p.m. He needs to brush his teeth with the toothbrush we sent him with. He needs to be asleep by blah blah blah. I have 3 kids. I can keep a 12-year-old kid alive for 20 hours without a list. She would text me non-stop. I felt bad for the kid. I let him know, listen, if you bend a few of these rules, I'll never tell your mom if you won't, and he had this huge smile. I'm not sure what kind of people helicopter parents think they're creating, but it can't be a fun one, that's for sure. My best friend's mom. They live 10 minutes away from me, and my friend is really bad with directions. He drove to my house, and got lost, so it took him like 45 minutes. After like 30 minutes his mom calls me and is sobbing because he hadn't checked in with her. He's 26. Working summer orientation for my old community college, and we have new students register for classes towards the end of the session. Counselors are there to help with class selection. This one mom was literally hovering over her son, telling him which classes to choose, and completely ignoring the counselor's advice. When she had him stand up, she proceeded to sit down and she herself started registering her son for his classes. I tried to intervene, letting her know that we ask that the student register themselves, and that he'll be doing online registration for the rest of his college career. I was told to F off. Later I pulled him aside and told him to change his password and swap into a class more appropriate for his placement exams. It was this incident that triggered us to design a parent orientation to keep them away from their kids. Welcome to adulthood, lil bro. In college, a girl's mom stayed in her room with her the first week of our freshman year. Went to classes with her, ate with her and attended our dorm meeting, introducing herself as Crystal's mommy. She finally went home, and Crystal had obviously never learned to do anything on her own. Her roommate dated a guy on my floor and would tell us about her daily, multiple calls home. She didn't know how to do laundry, so mommy paid roommate to do it for her. By midterm, Crystal was failing all her classes and had basically just given up going to class as it was too hard. Again, mommy shows up, stays 2 weeks, talks to her professors, then pulled her out of school. I'm curious what she's doing now. Hopefully she broke out on her own and gained some independence. A mom came with her kid to whine about a deserved poor grade. The kid was a junior in college. Mom was not happy when I informed her I couldn't and wouldn't talk to parents. And by not happy I mean lost it, and was escorted out by campus security. The student was mortified, of course, even came by to apologize, and I was basically like, let's both just pretend that never happened. Okay, here's what you should work on for the next exam. Dude came in to talk about his son's test scores. The son was in my second-year university course, and the dad was a professor in the subject I was teaching who thought I was hard on his son. We reviewed the midterm together. In the end I gave the kid back 1 mark, so he went from like a 73 to a 74%. Seriously cannot imagine what it was like for that kid growing up. While working at new student orientation in college, I was told a story from a previous year. The parents who attended orientation were housed separately from the students. One mom wanted to stay with her daughter, and took the bed of another student. The mom told the student she can find somewhere else to sleep. The student, not knowing what to do, ended up sleeping in a chair in the common area of the dorm. I'm in college, living off campus with my 20-year-old roommate. She has to be in contact with her mom every single day. If she doesn't answer within a few hours, her mom gets extremely anxious about where she is and what she's doing. Her mom has called me more than once to see where she is. Usually, I'm within 40 feet of my roommate and she's just doing homework or watching cable. It's ridiculous that she's being monitored like a hawk when she's an adult. This is my sister's experience, but she taught kindergarten for a while, and she had a kid whose mother wouldn't let her play outside if it was below 70 degrees, and told the school she was allergic to dairy, but then admitted she lied about that, because she couldn't trust that the school wouldn't serve her spoiled milk, so she thought it would be easier to just say she was allergic. Also, the kid was coincidentally sick and had to stay home from school on every single field trip. I was 11 to 13 at the time. I had a friend on the swim team that was also around that age. His parents were the most controlling people I had ever seen. His mother looked like the head of a Catholic girls' school that punishes students for singing. We all used to play Nintendo DS games during meets. He just watched over our shoulders because if he touched a gaming console he would be punished. His parents always made him wear the same clothes every day. Tan khakis, white shirt, dark blue sweater vest. I once got him a t-shirt for his birthday. He gave it back saying that he wasn't allowed to wear it. He was homeschooled. Pretty sure his family spoke ecclesiastical Latin at home. Very weird. The mom of a former coworker of mine. He was 27 or 28 and his mom didn't approve the woman he was dating, so he kept dating her in secret. He looked really in love with her, girlfriend not so much, but seemed happy. Eventually his mom started calling me and a couple of other coworkers to check if her son was still dating that woman, so we lied to cover him. After a year of this secret relationship, the girlfriend got pregnant. My coworker proposed and they started planning a small wedding. When the mom knew, she went ballistic and forced him out of the engagement. He literally broke up with the future mother of his child because his mom said so. All of this happened 10 years ago. I still talk with the girlfriend because I was friends with her. She is living with another guy. Her daughter is 9 years old and never knew her biological dad. I have no idea, or interest of knowing, what happened with my former coworker, if he is still living with his mom or what happened. A friend's parents are hyper-controlling. He was on a date and sister called the parents because she was filling out the FAFSA, but was stuck. Instead of saying call your brother, mom drove 2.5 hours to their college town, tracked him down on his date, and then brought him, but not the date, to the sister's apartment to do it for her. Mom also came to the town when the sister said she saw his motorcycle parked in front of someone's house after dark. It was not his motorcycle. It was just another shiny red motorcycle. The helicopter parents seemed to have influenced a helicopter sister. One of my neighbor's kids was a good basketball player, but she just didn't have the height for the position she played at a DI school. Coaches recruiting her told her that she could play DI if she switched positions, but her mother, who was a coach, would tell these coaches that her daughter wouldn't change positions, and to basically take it or leave it. Well, pretty much everyone chose to not extend scholarship offers at the DI level because of it. She ended up getting a really good scholarship to a DI school that had the academic program she wanted. They even had a 6-year program that combined undergrad and the post-undergraduate school she would have had to go to, so the process would have basically been seamless to become a licensed professional in her field. However, her mother was so controlling over her recruiting that she told her daughter she couldn't go there because the coach didn't send her a bunch of cards and whatnot. Basically things schools send to recruits to try to convince them to commit. It's mostly flattery, so she wouldn't allow her kid to commit there. Instead, she made her kid commit to this tiny dive school in the middle of nowhere, literally nowhere, extremely small and rural, that didn't even have the academic program her kid wanted. Her reasoning was that her kid would get a good Christian education, but how good is any education if it doesn't even have what you want to study? Eventually, the kid, with help from her father, quit playing basketball and transferred to a large state school because she hated the small Christian school so much, and she could finally study what she wanted to study. Her mom was so controlling that she ended up giving up on the sport she loved. This all would have been avoided if she had just gone to the DI school, but no, her mom took way too much control and ended up ruining her kid's college athletic career. Regulars where I work, mom is obsessed with her son, who is in his early 20s. He chose a school on the other side of the country. She moved and bought a house near campus so that they could still live together. Husband is always overseas for work. She would call and ask us to do specific things for her son, remind him to take his keys and charger, call and make appointments for him, arrange rides, etc. Last update I heard, he chose a grad school in another country. Mom did not follow him. Thank God he finally has some freedom. Went to youth group with 2 kids who had the worst helicopter mom. These kids had no muscle mass and were the least athletic kids ever because their parents wouldn't let them play sports. Their mom came to every youth meeting we had, usually just for the youth and the youth leaders. The older kid begged his mom to go on a mission trip with us, only to another part of the state, not even out of country. After we all kind of vouched for him and said he'd be taken care, she let him go. Happy story in the end, he ended up completely coming out of his shell because of that trip. He got super independent and his mom let up seeing that he could take care of himself. Thanks for listening to another episode of How to Not Raise Your Kids. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell for more videos like this. And here is my question for you. What do you think about such parents? What could be the reason for their behavior? And how will it affect the kid? Let me know in the comments.